Welcome to Yankee Chronicle. I'm your host, Abby Peel, and today we are back here at the New London Barn Playhouse, where you can experience an intimate, air-conditioned setting with no seat more than 30 feet from the stage. I'll visit with Cara DiPietro, who is in the season opening show of Little Shop of Horrors, with Dustin Cross, the costume designer. We'll visit SHEI, the Sunset Hill Educational Institute in Sutton, a wonderful effort to provide access to outdoor activities via a barrier-free environment. And we'll close at Preferred Building Structures to learn more about their fast and cost-effective building systems. But first, a few words from the underwriters that make your Yankee Chronicle possible. You too could become one by contacting us at info@ycnnow.com. Please stay with us.
This program is supported by H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating. Their full-service model offers oil delivery, propane, motor fuels with design, installation, service, and maintenance of all types of oil, gas, and alternative energy systems, as well as air conditioning, water conditioning systems, and their highly trained and friendly staff will assist you throughout the process of buying, installing, and servicing a full line of energy products. H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating.
Based on the iconic 1985 Paramount film, which was inspired by the classic Hasbro board game, Clue is a hilarious farce meets murder mystery. It's a dark and stormy night, and you've been invited to a very unusual dinner party. Clue is a comedy whodunit that will leave both cult fans and newcomers in stitches as they try to figure out who did it, where, and with what. Don't miss out on this side-splitting madcap murder mystery brought to the Barn Playhouse stage.
Welcome back to Yankee Chronicle. I'm your host, Abby Peel, coming to you from the Barn Playhouse porch here on Main Street. And I'm now joined by two Barney alums, part of Little Shop of Horrors, Cara DiPietro and Dustin Cross. Hello to both of you.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Very exciting to talk to you. Cara, you're playing Audrey in Little Shop of Horrors, and Dustin is the costume designer. It's so exciting to talk about all of these different parts of the performance, but both being returning Barneys too. Talk about that.
Well, this is my 5th season back.
Wonderful.
So excited to be here for that. Cara and I worked together in 2019.
Yeah.
Doing Peter and the Starcatcher.
So fun.
So it's nice to be reunited.
Yeah. Our paths keep crossing, but they've never landed ever since then. So it's so exciting to be back here. This is my 3rd season back here.
Fun.
And I'm so excited to be back.
So you were here 2019 as an acting intern, part of the company. Last year in Spelling Bee as Olive, which was a dream role.
Yes.
Like is Audrey a dream role too?
Yes. I grew up on this music. It was one of my dad's favorite shows.
Okay.
And so when I got the email, it's like,
I want to go. I'm going to go to the barn. So fun. And Darren Hayes, who's playing Seymour, is also returning Barney from the 2019 season. So full of alumni. There's actually 10 out of the 13 are alumni, which is so fantastic.
No, it's so special. It was like that last year, and it's very special.
Talk about the role. How do you prepare? What's the exciting parts of it?
Yeah, I know for me, especially, knowing how fast this rehearsal process is, something I try to do is I try to come in as prepared as I can, looking over the music, learning your lines so you're as equipped as you can, so when you get in the rehearsal room you can really play around.
Sure, fun, yeah. That's fantastic. And Dustin, what's the vision for Little Shop?
Well, it's sort of this this fable about be careful what you wish for, and it could come true, but it can also take you down while it does that. So we start in this sepia tone with no color, and as the plant gives you what you want, you develop more and more green, which we're associating with green at this point.
Okay. And talk about the plant itself, because different theaters do it in different styles, but this is actually a puppet.
Yes, and there's 3 of them. So we just really yesterday got our first sense of the puppet.
Okay.
We have an incredible puppeteer who is in charge of all of the puppets. and there's 3 of them, and it gets progressively bigger as the show goes on. And like, I know, for instance, not to have any spoilers or anything, but like some of us go into that plant,
which is crazy.
Like through the plant. It's amazing. I've never worked with puppets before, so it's a totally new experience.
And to have a puppeteer that's going to come and just, that is their job, is fascinating.
I think both of our voice of Audrey, the puppet, and the puppeteer have both done the show before.
Fantastic. That's really helpful. Yeah. This is your first time doing Little Shop of Horrors. Is this your first time, Dustin, doing Little Shop?
This is my 4th time doing it.
4th time. Okay, so you know what you're doing.
Yes. Well, each production's different, so this one is a very different version of what I've done before, and with new people.
Yes, and from both an actor and a designer standpoint, the barn is, a lot of people don't know when they come, is actually truly a barn. It was not built here thinking it would be, and so there's some limitations. It's not a brand new construction. It's a small stage, and so that probably plays into some of the performance parts of it too.
Oh yeah, something I always have to remind myself at the barn is that there's a whole balcony, so whenever I'm doing things, I have to catch myself to make sure I'm going up, and that's such a treat, having been in the space before and knowing it. But it's those little things that you know when you're lucky enough to perform somewhere. You know how it works and the ins and outs.
It's so fun to see somebody see the stage for the first time, but then also walk in and go, oh, it really is a barn.
It's really a barn.
Also, it stretches what you want to do, your perspective of the show, and having been here before, we sort of know the ins and outs and how to give the audience what they want.
I remember having the choreographer from Catch Me If You Can on in 2019, and he said, I made sure I could do most of the numbers in my living room in New York City to make sure it would fit the stage here because of the size. And it's not, you go to Broadway and there's this huge stage and we're just this tiny little thing on Main Street, which is so fun.
Broadway at the barn.
Broadway at the barn, I love it. How are you both feeling going into this performance? It's just about to open.
I feel fantastic.
Good.
I mean, again, it's great to be back with the community here. It's great to be back with actors who you know and love, and just being able to share this with the community.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so excited. I always say I'm never happier than when I'm here. It's my favorite place in the whole world. There's something very magical about performing here and the people that are here. So being able to do this show that is so fun and is such a dream show here with all of these people, it's like a dream come true.
Brigadoon.
Yeah, truly.
I think it's really exciting that you all feel like this is such a special place and the community feels like it's such a special place. So it really just pairs so nicely. So Cara DiPietro and Dustin Cross for Little Shop of Horrors, opening at the barn very soon. Come and see it and see a puppet right on the stage, which will be very fascinating.
Yeah.
Thank you both for joining me.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
It's early in the season and tickets to most shows are still available. Fun is at hand. Up next, we travel to Sutton for a visit to the Sunset Hill Educational Institute, where they empower individuals to grow resiliency and a purposeful, nourishing life story through a barrier-free connection to community and nature. First, these words from another YCN underwriter.
This program is supported by Echo Communications, a digitally integrated commercial printer and mailer located in New London, New Hampshire since 1997, with roots going back much further as the country press, AccuMail, and the home of the Kearsarge shopper. Echo Communications. This program is supported by the Innertown Record, your weekly hometown community newspaper covering the Kearsarge Sunapee Sunshine region of New Hampshire. The Innertown Record.
Where are you headed?
Just gonna hang out.
If any of your buddies ever pressure you to take a drink, just tell them you promised your dad you wouldn't.
I promise. Love you too, Dad.
They really do hear you. For tips on what to say, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Welcome back to Yankee Chronicle. I'm Abby Peel, your host. We live in such a beautiful region that beauty is directly inaccessible to many with limited mobility. Let's head to Sutton's Sunset Hill Educational Institute to learn what they're doing to eliminate the barriers that keep people from the joy of life and the great outdoors.
Back in 2002, I had a car accident on black ice, and that left me paralyzed from my shoulders down. And all of a sudden, I became paralyzed in bed from being a mother, a professional, and a farmer. And I lived on this homestead since '82, and I couldn't move, and I had middle school kids, and I felt like I needed a purpose, and I was teaching at the Kearsarge Night School, and I changed this place to a nonprofit organization so I could work with students here, and then I started coaching people in chairs that had been paralyzed by spinal cord injury, and really worked for people to understand that having a purpose and getting up every day really gives you spark and willingness to want to live. And then we created WIM, Wheelchairs, Health and Motion, and this place became an accessible outdoor place that we could all congregate in nature. And with Andy Jeffries, we created a program called Nature's Way, Connect, Nourish, and Grow, which says our mind and our spirit have a lot to do with the quality of our lives.
The Sunset Hill Educational Institute is about the combination of nature, education, and wellness. And so we put together a program called Nature's Way and asked ourselves the question, what can we learn from nature to help guide us to leading a fulfilling and vital life? And one of the things we've discovered is that nature never worries about what's already happened. Even in the case of disaster, nature is always focused on germinating new growth. And in that context, we can understand how our connection to nature makes us feel like we're part of something greater than ourselves. And by helping people become aware and deepen their connection to nature, they can feel the healing aspects of nature and learn not to dwell on what's already happened, but to focus on expressing the potential that exists within all of us.
Sunset Hill as an organization has been around for over 15 years, but during the pandemic, we felt that it was important for people to get outside and experience nature and the connection, but socially distant. And so the organization was fortunate to win a grant that allowed for the building of accessible pathways on this whole campus. It used to be just a rolling hill of beautiful green meadow, but now we have these gorgeous accessible pathways that enable anybody with any disability or not to come and enjoy this beautiful spot. And so today we're gathering with our Wheelchair Health and Motion WIM folks, who are people who are under the auspices of SHEI involved in recreational activities in nature and education and wellness.
And if we can learn the mindfulness techniques and ways to look at things in a positive attitude with purpose and realize nature is adaptive and so are human beings adaptive, and we can adapt and nurture our minds so we can feel the quality of life.
So we put in 2,000 feet of fully accessible trails, and there's 4 stations. Here we're at the Ridgetop Circle, where we learn that nature is far more than what you can see with your eyes. Nature is a continuum of growth. And the second station is the amphitheater, and there we learn that nothing in nature stands alone. What you think might just be a black walnut tree is a diverse and complex ecosystem with all kinds of organisms working together to be healthy and flourish. And then there's the fire pit station, where we learn how to discover our passions for living. And then there's the garden view station, where we learn to have a growth plan and be aware of what we want to focus on growing in our own lives.
And today we are just celebrating with some friends and also reflecting on life and everyone's contribution to it. And we've lost a few friends this year, so we're going to reflect on that.
Really tried to expand the connection with nature and the accessibility for everyone. And this is a place that's open to anyone with reservations in advance. We not only particularly work with the disabled community, but also youth. We've had many of the school kids from Bradford up here. I think over spring break we had two groups of 80 kids or 160 kids trooping all around and looking at the various plants and just, you know, immersing themselves in nature and really getting the benefit of that connection to the outside world.
Our Nature Way program really works with anyone who has challenges in life, physically or mentally, to try to get a new perspective on life. We also, because of the increase of anxiety and of our population since the pandemic, we have found that nature and interconnection with nature promotes wellness and health. And so we've opened up this facility for children, and we're running a lot of mindfulness, meditation, creative art programs this summer that are open to all.
They create a lot of programs working with other organizations in the state like Granite State Independent Living and NESA to go out and kayak and ski and hike. But finding accessible hiking trails is often challenging. You might, you know, have shown up and think you're going to get out on the trail, and they've decided to bulldoze the area, and then you're out of luck. But Carol has evolved the organization over time, and at one point created WHIM, the Wheelchair Health in Motion, and there were various WHIM communities that met throughout the state, I think typically at Wise. But when COVID hit, that all shut down. And so we developed something called Wheelchair Health in Motion WHIM at Home. And WHIM at Home is an online Zoom community which still provides the same connection and peer support and does chair exercises, chair yoga, Tai Chi, all online, so that really opened up the opportunity to anybody who could get on their computer. And then as that evolved, the whole notion of putting this accessible pathway infrastructure here at Sunset Hill to allow people to physically come and also be in nature and be immersed in nature.
Well, we have a website, which is SHEINH.org, Sunset Hill Educational Institute. We have a Facebook page under the same name, Sunset Hill Educational Institute, and our phone number is 603-938-2562.
Thank you all for making this accommodation possible and encouraging everyone to be outside and enjoy the beauty of our great region. When we return, I'll again visit preferred building structures and learn about their construction process and how it can benefit your next project. But first, another business that supports YCN and other organizations you know and love. Please support them because they support you.
This program is supported by Main Street Bookends of Warner for books, toys, games, cards, gifts, and a gallery of local art. Main Street Bookends of Warner.
Based on the iconic 1985 Paramount film, which was inspired by the classic Hasbro board game, Clue is a hilarious farce meets murder mystery. It's a dark and stormy night, and you've been invited to a very unusual dinner party. Clue is a comedy whodunit that will leave both cult fans and newcomers in stitches as they try to figure out who did it, where, and with what. Don't miss out on this side-splitting madcap murder mystery brought to the Barn Playhouse stage.
Welcome back to Yankee Chronicle. I'm your host, Abby Peel. We're coming to you from Preferred Building Systems here in Claremont, and I'm now joined by Mark McLean, who's a project manager here. Hi, Mark.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining me. I'm excited to hear about your job. How long have you been with Preferred Building Systems?
I've been here, I'm going on my 11th year.
Wonderful.
I've been in the industry for 27 years.
Wow, that's fantastic. So talk about being a project manager. What's that mean to this business? What's it mean to your customers and clients?
What it does is I follow up with the sales team and the customer, get all the product information ready for production, purchasing, answer all the questions that are not answered.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And you focus both commercial and residential?
I'm concentrating mostly on residential. In my past, I have worked on commercial.
Okay.
But I'm concentrating on residential now.
How important is it for you to stay up to date on housing trends?
It's important to know the product that's out there, new products that are coming out, customer requests.
So sometimes you might get a contact from a customer that says, here's a picture of something we're interested in doing. Can you make it happen?
We try to get that product for the person. Yep.
Sure. And are you working hand in hand with the design team, or is that the later stages?
Design team, I am working hand in hand with them.
Yep. And what are some of the things that you're working on with them?
Such things as making a window change, perhaps. They might want a smaller window, bigger window, so I have to give that information to design and purchasing as well.
And can they make changes up until it hits the factory, or can you make changes after the factory?
They can make some changes after, but the production floor gets a little upset with that.
I'm sure.
Yep.
You walk in a little bit like head down a little bit. Yeah. Talk about some of the projects you've worked on residentially. Any that really stick out, that are unique or interesting?
We did take one down to Martha's Vineyard a couple years back.
Whoa,
so that was
on a ferry?
Yep, on the barges actually.
Wow.
It was 7 modules, and that was constructed out on the island in 3 days, putting it together.
Did you get to go and see it happen?
Yep.
Wow, that's really cool.
That was a cool trip to go on.
And they're all different sizes that you're working on?
Correct. I mean, the modules run from 14 feet wide to 60 feet is our longest.
And what are some of the perks of working for Preferred Building Systems?
It's close by home. That's
okay,
a
good.
perk.
Yeah, good.
It's a very interesting company, and it's fun. Every day is different. So.
Yeah, every day is different. Every client must be different too.
Yes.
Thanks, Mark. I'm now joined by another project manager here at Preferred Building System, Matt Cox. Hi, Matt.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
How's it going?
Good. First off, I want to thank you for your service. You just got back from deployment, and I think it's worth mentioning that Preferred Building Systems supported your time deployed. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I mean, every time I leave, this is the second time I left from this company with a deployment. I'm usually gone between 9 and 11 months. They've been accepting of it. They've let me have my time off before I leave, and it's been great to come back to a job and pick up where I left off.
It must take you a little bit of time to adjust back into what are the projects that have been done since you've been gone and things like that. A wonderful perk of your job that they allow for that to happen.
It is. Actually, I've picked up some jobs. I left and then picked right back up where I left off when we started building them
So
again.
You just need a little bit of recap, what had happened in a little bit of time. Wonderful. Talk about your professional history getting to this point of working here.
So I got my associates May of 2013 from NHTI. I started working here, I believe it was June of that year. On the floor, actually, I was hired to be part of the production design team, but I had to work on the floor first for a couple months. I proved my time. I worked here for 3 months during that period. From then, I went into the production side of the house, started doing production prints. Then I moved into prelim design. I did the prelims for a while. I got deployed in 2015-16. I ended up coming home. I wanted to get my bachelor's degree, so I talked to the company. I moved down to Alabama, went to Auburn University.
Cool.
During that period, the company let me work part-time, remotely. I still worked for them while I was down there. I graduated in 2019 with my bachelor's degree in building science, and then they hired me on as a project manager.
They really like you. They really want you part of it. No matter where you are in the whole world, they'll keep you.
True.
That's fantastic. Talk about your day-to-day of being a project manager. What are some of the responsibilities, tasks that go into your job?
So for me, estimating, I do contract documents. I design because I still have that history.
Sure.
So for the multifamily, I take a lot of that in because it helps when you're doing the other stuff.
So talk about being a commercial project manager. What goes into the day-to-day of that job?
So being a commercial project manager, you worry more about the International Building Code versus IRC, so there's a lot more restrictions.
Right.
We have a lot of different between business use group and residential use group. Is it up to code? Does it work for us? How do we separate the building up into multiple boxes in order to make it work?
Right, because it's a lot more transportation to put a commercial.
It is a lot more transportation. Yeah. Normally the buildings are bigger. We have standard building specs here. Usually our normal standard box is 13.5. Commercial projects will vary anywhere from 10 feet wide boxes to 15.6 boxes. To try to make the footprint of that building that somebody is looking for fit on that foundation.
And how much do you have to know about the design of what that commercial building is being used for? For example, if it's a restaurant, it's going to be set up much different than a doctor's office would be.
Absolutely. So when it comes to the electronic component of it, we typically mainly focus on business use group and residential, but we have had that where we'll leave it open in those areas.
So obviously there's a housing shortage amongst a lot of New England, and you work a lot with building or creating these apartment buildings that are going up in a lot of different places. Talk about working on those. I mean, some of these are huge apartment complexes.
Yeah, so we'll do anything from a simple house to a duplex. Anything over a 3-unit house goes into from a townhouse goes into apartment complex, as the one behind you.
Yep.
72 apartment units. So.
72. And then you're working in the not only the technical side of it, but a little bit of the design of how that's being created?
Depends on what you come to us with a plan. So I've done it anywhere where, you give us a plan, I break it up into the modular aspects of it, and I will try to work within your boundaries, obviously, if you're going to a normal architect, you're not thinking about building modular. So we have to break it up that way. So I've transform their plan to the best of our ability into a modular portion, but I've also gone from hey, this is kind of what we're looking for a building, and I've given them a design to start with and let them develop it off of what we provide for a plan.
So you're working a lot with the customer, but then also the design team here as well.
Absolutely. I prefer to work more with the builder because, that's our customer, but the homeowner has a lot of say in what they want for a house.
Yep.
So it's both ways.
Interesting. Well, Matt, really interesting. Again, thank you for your service, and thanks for the overview of working here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. You can learn more at their website, preferredbuildings.com. And thank you to the New London Barn Playhouse for hosting us as they kick off their 92nd summer season, the oldest continuously operating summer theater in New Hampshire. Join us next week for another edition of your Who, What, Where, and When show of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region. We'll make our annual visit to Spring Ledge Farm in New London. Our next replay game of the week is the Mount Royal Academy at Sunapee girls basketball game. All of our games replay at noon and 7 p.m. on Sundays and Mondays. Check out ycnnow.com for the most up-to-date schedules and on-demand viewing of all of our shows. I want to thank the good folks here at the New London Barn Playhouse, where their mission is to enrich and entertain our community with the highest quality theater created by talented emerging artists in collaboration with accomplished professionals. They're another great local business that supports your Yankee Chronicle. I'm Abby Peel. Join us again next week at the same time.
This program is supported by H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating. Their full-service model offers oil delivery, propane, motor fuels with design, installation, service, and maintenance of all types of oil, gas, and alternative energy systems, as well as air conditioning, water conditioning systems, and their highly trained and friendly staff will assist you throughout the process of buying, installing, and servicing a full line of energy products. H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating. Echo Communications, a digitally integrated commercial printer and mailer located in New London, New Hampshire since 1997, with roots going back much further as the country press, AccuMail, and the home of the Kearsarge shopper. Echo Communications. Main Street Bookends of Warner, for books, toys, games, cards, gifts, and a gallery of local art. Main Street Bookends of Warner. The Innertown Record, your weekly hometown community newspaper covering the Kearsarge Sunapee Sunshine region of New Hampshire. the Innertown Record.